Hello everyone, welcome back. So that's the time, we press record, that someone gets the drill out. Looks like they've stopped. Okay, we'll carry on. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm doing another video on Chanel Les Exclusifs. I just posted a video on Les Exclusifs yesterday. I did 31 Rue Cambon and also 1932. So today I feel inspired to do two more. We're going to go for two quite floral perfumes, probably slightly more floral than those two that I just covered. So we have Beige. This is a bottle that I bought secondhand on eBay. It's all definitely authentic. All the signs are there. There's a batch code on the back. You probably won't be able to see it on camera, but the batch code is here. 5101, 75 milliliter bottle, and I got it for a decent price on eBay, so very happy with that. And then I have a decant of Gardénia, and this one was from a trusted seller in one of our fragrance groups, and I have been wearing this decant. As you can see, it's almost half full. It's about a 5 ml-ish decant. So I have been wearing it, trying to get to know Gardénia. I did have a bottle of Gardénia. Going back a few years, I found a bargain on eBay, such a bargain on a 200 ml. I don't know though, I can't find any record of it. I did a split on one of the Facebook groups, or some of the Facebook groups. I split it, sent it out at cost price, so everyone got some cheap Chanel Gardenia, but I don't know if it was the EDT or the EDP. And I remember just thinking it's a little bit weak. And at that point in my life, I needed more oomph with fragrances. I needed more sweeter notes, richer notes, base notes. And I don't think Gardenia has much going on when it comes to base notes, but we'll get to that. So I have nothing on. I'm fairly fresh from the shower, apart from deodorant and, you know, the usual sort of stuff. I don't have any fragrance on. So I'm going to put Beige onto my left arm, and I actually have a medical appointment later on, so it's quite good that I'm choosing these kind of lighter, approachable scents today. So Beige, we're going to go here, and I'm also going to do one on the back of the wrist just for ease of, I just whacked the wall. Just for ease of access. Back of the hand is always very handy. So we'll start then by talking about Beige, because that's what we started with. Probably should have started with Gardenia because it's lighter, but never mind. Beige. The official notes I might list on screen because I might not remember them completely, but there's definitely honey and frangipani. I think there's a hawthorn note. There's not many notes anyway. There's not many notes, but I will tell you what I get. So I know this fragrance better because I've had it a couple of weeks or thereabouts, maybe not quite 2 weeks. But I've gone through 2 samples of it over the last few months. So that's sort of my experience with Beige. Much more experience with Beige than I am with Gardenia. I'm still in the getting to know you phase with Gardenia, so please take that in mind. Keep that in mind while you watch this review, that I know Beige a lot better. So to me, Beige is, I think there's another floral in Beige. It might be jasmine. But as I say, I would have put the notes on the screen, so you'll know what the official notes are. But as with all of these exclusives and a lot of perfumes, I get my own notes. I pick up on things that aren't listed, and oftentimes I don't find things that are listed. So, and I think that's normal for all of us. And in my opinion, it's always best when you smell a fragrance is to forget the notes if you can. Don't look them up. When you first smell if you want to learn how to improve your sense of smell, then the best thing you can do is to not look at the notes and just really take your time to get to smell and see what you pick out. And it might take a while and it might be frustrating at times, but you'll get there in the end, and you'll get better and better and better. And that's what I've done, and I'm still far from good at picking out notes, but I usually can find 2 or 3 of the listed notes in most perfumes. And it's just, I couldn't have done, you know, 6-7 years ago, absolutely not. But it's just smelling all the time, testing yourself, blind sniffing stuff all the time. It's fun. It's one of the most fun things you can do, apart from what you do in the bedroom. But it depends who you're with, I suppose. For me, beige is a balmy, smooth floral. So frangipani is an exotic floral in the same ballpark as your jasmines, your ylangs, your tiare, your tuberose. So it's one of those sort of more heady florals usually. And you'll often find frangipani in a beachy style perfume, and it's often paired with coconut and vanilla, and it comes off as a bit of a mono oil scent. Here in beige, I don't find the fragrance overall to be tropical, despite the fact that the main note is this frangipani mixed with, I think, another white floral, at least one other white floral in the same vein as sort of a jasmine or something like that. So it's a little mixture of florals, but frangipani is the main floral. But it's balmy. Think of, there's something about thinking about warm sand. If you think about sand that's been heated by the sun, it's got this kind of like smooth, balmy, calming kind of feel. I get that. And yes, there's no coconut in here. I don't think there's a listed coconut note, and I don't smell coconut. So it is not a typical frangipani perfume because of that. The honey note does not smell like taking honey right up to your nose and smelling honey, which has got an almost acidic feel to it. When you smell real honey, sort of could go, even though it's rich and sweet, can also have this acidic side, and some people find a honey note pissy. I don't really find a honey note in here like that. To me, it's like the flowers are giving off a honey-like dew, like an edible water that is coming out of the flower that is honeyed. So definitely get some sweetness from beige. It is not as sweet as some typical frangipani perfumes when they're paired with those coconut and vanilla sort of notes. It's possible that there's a touch of vanilla in the formula. I don't think it's listed. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a tiny bit, but I never feel a specific vanilla. It's just that it might be adding to this overall sweetness that you get from it, but it is not really a sugary sweetness. It's not a syrupy sweetness. It is a honeyed floral sweetness. I also feel like when I first spray the perfume, I get this rounded sort of mandarin smell that mixes with the florals. There is no mandarin note, and I don't know that, I wouldn't bet my life on there being mandarin in here, but it's got this overall orangey but very smooth tone. The whole perfume smells very orangey to me, not like smelling a real orange, but the actual composition, the florals, that even the warm sand is the orange sand. It's not white sand in the Caribbean, it's orangey sand, like sunset tinged warm sand. But I do feel like there's something a bit like a mandarin in that opening. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a touch of bergamot or something else, but just a little. It does not smell citrusy at all, but I just feel this warm touch of mandarin mixing in with these lovely warm sweet florals. And as I say, it's so balmy. It's like a gentle breeze. So it is not an typical cocktail smelling or mono oil smelling, suntan lotion smelling kind of fragrance. It's like they had that idea, but they pared it right back, and they wanted to make that kind of fragrance for a much more sophisticated crowd. And that's what I get. It's a very calm, very sophisticated, grown up, elevated kind of fragrance, but still with this sweetness that is so appealing. I think most people would enjoy this. It might not be gourmand enough for a gourmand lover. It might not be rich enough or sweet enough for some tastes. And it could be too sweet for someone who likes their fragrances maybe more like the Gardenia we're going to talk to, or more, or then if you prefer chypre, then this is really not going to be for your taste. It's towards an amber floral without going really that amber. There's just this sweetness that, as I say, it feels like it comes from honeyed florals more than anything else. But I do think if your general tastes lie in the amber floral region, this is probably going to be in your vicinity of what you like. What happens in the dry down? That's for me where the magic really happens. So whilst I love this opening, I love it more as time goes by because it becomes powdery. And you know, I love powdery stuff. I think you do. I don't necessarily like things that are full on, really, really, really powdery. But I like powdery touches in my fragrances more than a powdery touch. You know, it always kind of gets me. And musk, clean musk, I'm a sucker for it. And I know some people will compare the dry down of the clean muskiness in beige to laundry detergent and find it a bad thing. I find it a good thing. I don't mind laundry detergent notes in fragrance. I don't want to smell 100% of laundry detergent, but throw a bit in there and I'm all for it. And I really do feel like in the dry down, it's almost like there's an iris in here. There's no listed iris note, but to me it feels like an iris comes through with some just light powdery notes and clean, almost laundry detergent-esque musk without going full-on laundry detergent, but all gently comes through with that warm orangey floral warm sand thing still hanging on. So you keep the florals all the way through the perfume. Yeah, I really, really love it. And it's so funny because I've smelt this in shops over the years multiple times. But I think when you just smell it in a shop with other things, because if I'm in a Chanel shop, I'm probably smelling other Chanels. And if I'm in a big city like London, I'm definitely smelling a lot of stuff in one day. That is never the way to truly discover and fall in love with any perfume. But we do it because we are whores. We are fragrance whores, and we want to try everything. But really and truly, the only way to get to know anything is by having a sample and just taking your time with it. And I'm just lucky that my friend Valentina sent me not one but 2 samples of this. I think if she'd only sent me that first sample, it might have evaporated by the time I got round to smelling it again. It was the second sample, just wearing it because there it was that day. I'd arrived in the post. I'll just wear this, and went out, did my little bit of gardening, kept catching whiffs and thinking, this is so good. And that was it. I was obsessed. So I get an almond hue from this. So it has that hawthorn note, but to me it smells like mimosa. And mimosa is a honeyed yellow, powdery floral. It smells a bit like honeyed pollen. And I find it a sickly note when it is the main player in a perfume. Too much mimosa is a bit nauseating for me, but I just get a little tinge of it. And of course, as I say, it's hawthorn, it's not really mimosa, but it smells like, I understand mimosa more than I understand hawthorn. It's probably it's just kind of like the same thing, but to me it smells like mimosa, so I'm saying mimosa. And mimosa, as I say, has almond nuances, and I really smell that right now. Like, I didn't smell it when I first sprayed it, but I smell it now as we're talking. That has started to come through and almost adds a golden touch to these orange hues we're already talking about. Orange hues, by the way, not orange shoes. Sometimes my mouth doesn't fully form the words. Orange shoes. Orange shoes. I wouldn't wear orange shoes. Orange is not my colour. Orange and golden hues now starting to come together. Always balmy, always smooth, and then over time you start to get that muskiness coming through, which as I said earlier, I really love. So we're going to leave that one there for now, and we're going to move over to the Gardénia. I have to keep my eye on the time because my appointment's at 3:45. It's only 2 o'clock now, so we are good. Gardénia, I had this on earlier before my shower. I do think it has all gone. Gardénia gets a very bad rap for longevity. So we're going to spray quite a lot. I think if you owned a bottle of this, you would overspray, unless you really do like your fragrances very, very light, in which case this could be for you. I really need to understand the longevity, because for me so far it has been very varied, and I really can't pin it down to how long it lasts. So hopefully, I mean, whatever happens today, the next time I wear it could be different. So whatever I say to you today is how long it lasts or how the performance is, it could be different the next time I wear it. So this is a fragrance that, if performance really matters to you, and if you're going to spend a fortune on a fragrance, and Chanel Les Exclusifs are very expensive, and if you need that expensive perfume to last you at least 8 hours and to project from your body for at least 6 hours, which I think is a reasonable expectation, Gardénia might not work for you. Because so far, by about 4 hours, I've always felt like it is really quite close to the skin. I don't think it completely disappears, and I think I probably am getting 6 to 8 hours, but by 4 or 5 hours in, I can't help it. I can only find it if I go right up to my nose, and for me that's not going to work. I like to be able to smell my perfumes, and when you're talking about this sort of price point, then yeah, I absolutely want more from the performance. Go and read the Fragrantica reviews, because they're very mixed in terms of the performance, but my number one advice to you is performance matters. You must get a sample of Gardénia. You must try it somehow. I know it's difficult. Let's talk about the smell. Now, something that I first thought when I smelled it is that it reminds me of Elemis Pro Collagen Marine Cream. So the face cream, the original face cream from Elemis, the marine cream, it's kind of in that ballpark. Obviously it's not the same, but if you know that, that's the closest thing I can think of to describe it for the opening of Gardénia. The Gardénia itself has a few floral notes, not just Gardénia. There is tuberose, and I think there's another floral, but actually I was going to say dandelion, daffodil. It began with a D, got there in the end. I get a daffodil sort of smell from it, so a narcissus sort of smell from it, as well as the tuberose Gardénia combination. Now, I can very easily confuse Gardénia and tuberose anyway. I haven't smelled either, as far as I'm aware, I haven't smelled either flower. Oh, actually I have got Gardénia essential oil upstairs, but I've never smelled tuberose in isolation. And so to me, when I smell this, it's definitely coming off as a greenish but quite punchy white floral. So that tuberose, I think if I was smelling it blind and not knowing what it was, I would pick out the tuberose more so than Gardénia. Gardénia, the essential oil that I've got, is quite fruity smelling, almost not exactly peachy, but kind of. It's got this fruity nuance to it, and also slightly green. And for me, yes, I get a slightly green thing from the opening of Gardenia, that if I was smelling it blind, I'd be saying I think there's some lily of the valley in here, or lily. Yeah, think of pure poisons, a little bit like that, but the fragrance itself, the whole thing is sweeter than pure poison, more rounded, more. I find pure poison very chaste, very, very aloof, very austere. This is warmer. So yeah, it's a mixture of these white florals with this green nuance to it that is the green of a floral, like a lily. Like lily can be green, rather than leaves or grass or any other green. No, it's not herbal at all. It's just that the flowers, or one of those flowers, is giving me some greenness, some greenery. It's very smooth and clean. I don't get anything dirty. I wouldn't say it's indolic. I don't get any poopy notes that you can get from white florals sometimes. It's stripped, clean, but warm and inviting at the same time. But not warm with sort of base notes of sweetness. It's not sugar, not vanilla, nothing like that. It's just, I think there's a little sweetness coming from the flowers. And beige is a lot sweeter, in my opinion, than Gardenia. So the flowers in beige, I think, are a lot sweeter. You've got that honey note, of course, whereas in Gardenia, it's not anywhere near as sweet. But I also think that that greenness holds it back from being that sweet as well. But as I say, it is warm and inviting still, just not underlying with sweet notes. And the thing with Gardenia, I do really like this. I love beige. I like Gardenia. What I love though with Gardenia is what happens in the dry down, and it's similar to what happens to beige, in that it goes in that clean, musky direction. It's less deep and less complex, I think, than beige. Not that beige is particularly complex fragrance, but the dry down of beige, once you start getting all this clean musk and this powderiness, still holds on to a lot of the top notes as well. Whereas I feel like with Gardenia, the top notes are more stripped back once you get to the dry down, and it is a lot more about this clean white musk. It's like your skin is clean from the shower and you've used those really luxurious products, but they're not exactly strongly scented products, but you just smell really clean and powdery and really well put together, but not like you're wearing perfume. And that's what I get from Gardenia in the far dry down. But what I'm going to do is wait until that happens, and then I'll report back to you. I'll be back after my hospital appointment. Hello, so I'm back. I've had my appointment, all good, and I've also been around the shops because I'm going on holiday tomorrow and I needed some snacks for the plane, and I think I've got enough for everyone on the actual plane. I might have overdone it, but I've got snacks. So it is now 6 p.m. When I filmed earlier, it was around about 1:30, 1:45, so that gives you an idea that just over 4 hours has passed. Now I'm actually wearing Gardenia up around here as well. I sprayed myself off camera after I filmed the first bit of this video. And as I got to the hospital, I realised that in the hospital itself, where the scent of the hospital, that general hospital smell is overwhelming. There was no way I was smelling this from myself, not as I was walking. If I went right up to my nose, I could smell Gardenia, but otherwise I was absolutely not smelling any of my own fragrance, because hospitals do have quite a strong scent, And also the atmosphere, it was quite warm in there. You could almost smell the heating. And I think that affected things as well. So I definitely didn't smell it in the hospital. If I was wearing one of my stronger fragrances, I would have done. So it has a light presence for sure. But it still is here. We're over 4 hours in. If I move, I can smell it. I know. We all tell me you do that. I know you do. I'm not the only one. You move around a little bit so you can smell your perfume. If I move around a little bit, I can smell it. It's definitely light. It is now at that musky, clean, musky stage with a little bit of the floral left. It's like wearing a body lotion. So projection wise it's not really projecting, but it has sillage. So don't expect it to project much really after the first probably less than an hour. It's just not one it's certainly not projecting from my skin, but it does have sillage. So that means when you move, you will catch whiffs of it, but it is very light. So performance wise, I think I'm going to go with the majority and say that it's quite bad. For the price point, it's probably not good enough. If you have a bottle of this and you're not too worried about money, you could probably overspray, massively overspray, and get a decent performance, probably get a day out of it. But if you save up all your money to buy a bottle and you want it to last you a long time, then and you spray it sparingly, you're not really going to ever smell it, or barely, I think. So yeah, whereas beige has got more presence. It's still not really strong. Beige is not one of the strong ones, but I'd say it's medium. It's okay. Beige still has that warm orangey tone. It's almost more terracotta now, and that warm sand feel that I get from it, but very much muskiness again, that lovely clean muskiness mixing with that warm floral, that warm orangey terracotta floral. Definitely still smells clean. I like that. But it's not that strong. But I know when I wear it, and I do overspray now because I've got the bottle, I do overspray beige. And when I wear it, I get a decent performance. It's not the best, it's not the worst, it's sort of average, it's okay. But I think Gardenia is lacking, certainly on my skin. So what was I going to say? I forgot to mention, I didn't talk about the fact that Gardenia has this freshness about it. It doesn't feel like it comes from citrus because I still get the freshness even now. So it's like the floral itself, that sort of the floral greeny thing feels a little fresh, like cool. So it's a fresh, clean fragrance. Whilst they both smell clean, the sweetness in beige makes it not as fresh. So beige maybe has a little freshness in the beginning hour, but it is a warmer, sweeter perfume, and it's not particularly fresh. It's not dirty or anything like that, but it's just not something I would go fresh. I mean, it could kind of smell like fresh laundry a little bit, but Gardenia is fresh, green, almost watery fresh. Like imagine a green lagoon, a lush lagoon. Flora and fauna, very sort of green in general landscape. It's kind of watercolour. That's the kind of freshness that I get. But with that, now with that underlying sort of white musk kind of thing. At this point, the performance is very close to the skin, and I would be wanting to reapply. So what do we say? Yeah, so really for me, 4 hours, between 4 and 5 hours, I'm going to want to reapply unless I've massively oversprayed, and who knows what would happen with that. But based on the amount that I sprayed on myself, and it was a fair amount, so from, you can see this bottle's really gone down now. From this bottle, I think I did maybe 6 or 7 sprays around here. I spray it on myself. So that actually was a short spray, but yeah. But now, oh, now we have the fresher, much fresher, greener floral. I don't think I'm going to come to a conclusion about the performance, except to say that I do agree with the majority that it is quite weak. I don't think it's the worst, but at the price point, I would want better. Definitely want to try all of these, all fragrances, if you can try them. Don't blind buy them if you know, go and try them if you can. But particularly these, because they're so expensive, you should definitely try them. Don't just blind buy them. That is it. And my next 2 Les Exclusives will be Missia and 28 La Pausa EDT. So they'll be coming next. I might film those on holiday. So on holiday tomorrow, I'm going to Cyprus. So maybe I'll film those from there, who knows? Might be lazy, might do nothing. That's what holidays are for, right? So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!